be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. During the question-and-answer session, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to Robert Gaspari. You may begin.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. This is Robert Gaspari. I'm the COO of Golden Boy Promotions. Unfortunately, Oscar is unable to host the call today. He's down in Canelo's camp. Really bad reception where he was, and it kept on dropping off, so he asked if I can host the call for the group today. I want to thank everybody for dialing in today to the Danny Jacobs International Media Conference Call. On May 4th, IBF middleweight champ Danny Miracle Man Jacobs will fight on the most important battle of the year as he takes on WBC, WBA, Lineal, and Ring Magazine middleweight world champion Canelo Alvarez in a 12-round unification fight. The event will take place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, where there are tickets still available, but they're selling fast. To purchase the tickets, you can purchase by phone with a major credit card by dialing 888-9-AXS-TICKETS, TIX. Tickets will also be available for purchase at www.teammobilearena.com or www.axs.com. This champion versus champion event will be streamed exclusively on the DAZN, the sports streaming platform that is blowing up the fight game. With DAZN, you can watch anytime, anywhere. It's like the Netflix of sports. Just download the DAZN app and stream on any smart device. Whether you're on the go or in your living room, you can watch DAZN anytime. We at Golden Boy are excited to be at the forefront of this new era of boxing with the DAZN and look forward to continue making boxing more accessible and affordable to the fans. We also want to thank our sponsors, Ducati, the official beer of boxing, and Hennessy, never stop, never settle, for their continued support of the fight game. We now like to introduce the participants before we open it up for questions and answers to the media. First, I would like to introduce a man we have worked with for many times at Golden Boy. He's the promoter of fighters such as Anthony Joshua, Kell Brook, and Kevin Farmer. He is also the promoter for Danny Jacobs under the banner of Matchroom Boxing USA. Please welcome to the call, Eddie Hearn, Managing Director of Matchroom Sports. Eddie?
Thank you, Robert, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everyone, for dialing in today. This can't come soon enough, this fight. I mean, I'm so excited as a fan to even be watching this fight, let alone being involved in the promotion and having one of our guys be in the fight and in it to win it. I just think everybody in boxing right now, whether they're a fan or particularly even the people in boxing, are talking about this fight, the outcome, the fact that as this draws closer, we just don't know who's going to win this exciting unification fight. Of course, we want to thank Golden Boy. We want to thank DAZN as well, our mutual partners who are doing such a fantastic job right now. And I think in a world where, you know, we talk about the price point of pay-per-view in the United States, and we see the last, I think, 3 pay-per-view fights just not delivering value, in my opinion. Here you have a legitimate pay-per-view fight that takes place on DAZN, away from pay-per-view, and I think it's so refreshing for the sport of boxing and so exciting for the sport of boxing that DAZN can deliver these kind of fights on their platform. I think it's going to do extremely well. In terms of our side, our camp, this is absolutely everything. It's been so much to all of us involved in this fight. As every day comes closer, we have more and more belief that Danny Jacobs is going to be victorious on May the 4th. I think that it's written in the stars. I think the work that he's put in this camp, the performances he's put together over the last few years have all led him to this moment. I think Andre Rozier is doing a fantastic job. And I just can't wait to be in Las Vegas for fight week, see that man soak it up, see that man get ready for destiny, because that's what it is on May the 4th, destiny for Daniel Jacobs to fight Canelo Alvarez, one of the biggest stars in the world of sport. And I have absolutely no doubt that on May the 4th, Daniel Jacobs will become the unified middleweight world champion. I think it's going to be an amazing fight. I think the styles are going to gel. incredibly well. Like I said, I just can't wait for the whole week. This is exactly what big-time boxing is all about, the best versus the best. And I just cannot wait for the excitement, the fight week, the press conferences, the weigh-in, fight night, that ring walk, the incredible Mexican fans that will be there, the American fans that will be there. And I just can't wait to be a part of it. So thank you to everyone for dialing in. And we look forward to just a couple of weeks before the absolute fight of the year.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. I would like to introduce an important member of Team Danny Jacobs. He has played an important role in his careers of many fighters, including former world champion Chris Algier. Currently, he's doing a tremendous job with Danny Jacobs, especially as he enters the most important part of his career. Please welcome Keith Connelly, manager of Danny Jacobs. Keith?
Thanks, Robert. Pleasure to join you guys today. The big fight's right around the corner. We're less than 2 weeks away. I'm excited for Danny and Team Jacobs. I've known Danny for a long time right now, and he is definitely at his physical and mental peak, and I don't think this fight could have come really at a better time. So I know Danny's going to take advantage of it. I know his whole team, Andre Rozier, Chris Algieri, Coach Fareed, his conditioning coach, David Honig, Scooter, and everybody else that's involved with Danny has really put 100% in, and I know Danny has as well. And we're a few weeks away from Danny being, I think, if not the number one pound-for-pound guy in the world, at least in the top three, because I think he's going to really put on a show, and I think he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez convincingly. And if he does that, there's no doubt he's at the top of the boxing world. So I look forward to it. It's right around the corner, and I think it's going to be a great event.
Thank you, Keith. I now want to introduce a man who has had a tremendous impact on the career of Danny Jacobs. He has worked with Danny throughout his amateur and professional career and has guided him to 2 world titles. Now he's preparing Danny for the biggest fight of his career. Please welcome to the call Andre Rozier, the trainer of Danny Jacobs. Andre?
Good morning, Robert, and good morning for everyone that took the time to make the call for this conference. We've worked really hard, and this is actually stages in Danny's career that he has honed and prepared himself since an amateur to be ready to represent himself as the number 1 middleweight in the world. And this is no telltale issue. This is no streak of fate. This is Danny's destiny. He was destined to be middleweight champion of the world. He's destined to be a Hall of Famer, and he is destined to show those that greatness comes from hard work and dedication. So we are here to show the world what time it is.
Andre, perfect. Thank you, Andre. And now, without further ado, at 32 years old, Danny Jacobs has overcome many obstacles that would crumble an average man. But Danny Jacobs is not your average man. Not only is he a world champion in one of the toughest divisions in the sport, he is also an inspiration to us all. Having beaten a rare form of bone cancer and returning to the ring to fight in one of the biggest events of the year, Danny is an example of for people of all walks of life, following both in and out of the ring. With a record of 35-2 with 29 knockouts, and coming from Brooklyn, New York, please welcome to the call IBF middleweight world champion, Danny Jacobs. Danny?
First, I want to say thanks to everyone for being involved in this call today. I'm excited to be at this stage in my career. I'm extremely excited to have these opportunities come my way. I know this is a big opportunity, and I'm looking forward to taking full advantage of it. I'm already here in Las Vegas. I'm getting acclimated and prepping mind, body, and soul. And come May 4th, I'll be fully prepared. I look forward to seeing everyone. I look forward to being victorious and look forward to being the best middleweight in the world. So look forward to answering these questions. Thanks.
If you wish to be removed from the queue, please press the pound sign or the hash key. If you are using a speakerphone, you may need to pick up the handset first before pressing the numbers. Once again, if you have a question, please press star 1 on your phone now. Our first question is from Dan Raphael of ESPN. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Danny, how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Let me ask you this, Danny. When you watch Canelo Alvarez's previous fights and you assess how you're going to fight against him, what are the weaknesses that you see in his game?
Well, I definitely don't think that is from his skill set, because he has one of the best skill sets that's out there. His offensive onslaught, his upper body movement, his defense is really good. It's really not much that you can kind of, battle through and say that, you can do this and you can do that. But what I know is that I have the physical advantages, and I look forward to using my physical advantage, my reach, height, range, and being that I also have speed, power, ring IQ as well, that's what I feel like is going to make me victorious.
Danny, who do you think between the two? I mean, you don't know for sure because you haven't fought him yet, but he's got a lot of knockouts and has stopped a lot of guys. Obviously, you do also. Who do you think's the bigger hitter?
Oh, I think I definitely think I'm the stronger fighter. Yeah.
The bigger puncher?
Correct.
One of the other interesting aspects of this fight is, as it's been brought up, we all know this is a top-level matchup, one of the best that can get made in the whole sport today. But there's really no animosity between you two guys. There's, no bad language, no bad talk, no insults. You guys have been, I'm not going to say you're buddies, but you've been cordial to each other. I wonder, from your point of view, how hard is it to sort of get out there and promote the fight and try to bring attention to the fight when that is not part of the promotion, when it's two good guys who don't really have anything bad to say and aren't looking to stir things up, just want to get in the ring and put on a good show?
Well, it has never been my intention in any lead-up to any fight to sort of, create this animosity to sell the fight or to bash my opponent. Never have I ever wanted to do that. It has never been in my nature. I know that boxing is just a sport. So for me, this has been one of the best promotions and best lead-ups that I've been a part of, because I share the same ideas with my opponent, which is strictly being professional and let our skills and let what we actually feel inside as far as who we are and what we bring to the table, let that speak for itself inside the ring. So it hasn't been hard. That's not who I am to really, go out there and try to bash fighters or say negative things. I mean, it has happened in the past before because of some of my other opponents, but, this has been a breath of fresh air for me, because I can just focus on taking care of business inside the ring and, not have any animosity. I mean, I know that sometimes certain things like, trash talking and, things that people look forward to saying that this is going to be a huge fight. But, I mean, from the notion of what the fans and what the boxing media is already predicting, is that this fight is going to speak for itself. This is a can't miss type of fight. This is a Hall of Famer type of fight. And I'm just grateful for that, our skills can speak for itself and we don't have to go out there and, be goofy or, go out there and be someone who we actually aren't. So that's a breath of fresh air for me.
I appreciate that. I wanted to ask Eddie about that. Eddie, are you there? Eddie? Is Eddie still there?
I'm here, Jordan.
Eddie, is that you? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, I was wondering if you could speak to that aspect of the fight, of how difficult, from your point of view as a promoter, one of the promoters of the event, when you have two main event fighters who are terrific fighters but are just wanting to go in the ring and fight. There's no trash talk, like Danny said, no animosity, just, basically want to let their skills show in the ring. Is it make it more difficult to promote a fight when they don't bring that kind of attention to themselves by calling the other guy out or doing goofy stuff?
Not when you got a fight of this level, in my opinion. I mean, I think those kind of, the trash talk and the hype is great, and it helps to build a fight that might not be easy to build. But when you have a fight like this, where, Canelo Alvarez is certainly the biggest star in US boxing and possibly in world boxing, and Danny Jacobs is a middleweight world champion, his story is, echoed around the world of sport. I think that when you've got these two coming together in a unification fight, I don't really see the need for bad blood. In fact, I think it's an opportunity for the sport to blossom. And I think it's an opportunity to actually show people, young people, or people in the sport, or even fighters coming through the sport, how to actually behave. When you've got good guys generally, I don't think you should change. And I don't think you should change to sell a fight, especially when you're as good and as elite as these two. So, trash talk and hype is I guess it's always good for a promotion, but it's really not needed when you're talking about an elite fight, when you're talking about, like Danny said, a real Hall of Fame fight, because the winner of this fight, I think, is the pound-for-pound number one in boxing, to be honest with you, because that's what I think Canelo Alvarez is. So when Danny Jacobs beats him, I think he will get his right to call himself just that.
All right, very good. Thank you for that, Eddie. Thank you very much, Danny. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you. Our next question is from Arash Markazi of Los Angeles Times. Please go ahead.
Hey, boxing is a year-round sport, but Danny, your thoughts on being a part of Cinco de Mayo weekend? Historically, at least within the past 20 years, I mean, it has become the Super Bowl Sunday of the sport. Your thoughts on not being a part of that?
Well, I mean, I'm super grateful. Cinco de Mayo is definitely one of the biggest boxing events that is. So to be a part of that, especially against one of the biggest stars, arguably the biggest star in boxing, I mean, it just add icing on the cake for me. It's a breath of fresh air. We get to go in there and be a part of the biggest event. And I feel like all is at stake. There's so much at stake with this fight as well. I can not only become the best middleweight in the world, but future potential Hall of Famer in this fight as well. Pound for pound, et cetera, however you want to view it. But there's so many, and there's so much that I can gain from this fight on such a big weekend. So I'm looking forward to giving the fans ultimately a great show, looking to prove that I am the best, and enjoying, all of this weekend or the weekend of the fight, the lead up to the fight, I'm already in Vegas, so I'm here, I'm looking at the billboards, I'm looking at the promotion. I'm really truly loving it. I'm a fan of the sport of boxing, so to be a part of it is a blessing for me.
And one more for me. As a fight fan, just when you look back at this was a big fight weekend in the past for Floyd and Oscar and Pacquiao. And is there one Cinco de Mayo fight that you remember that you watched at home?
There's been a couple Cinco de Mayo fights that I've watched at home, and all has been probably around the time where I had to prepare for a fight myself, so I couldn't really, indulge in maybe the festivities or, celebrate or enjoy it the way I wanted to. But this is my time, and I look forward to celebrating after the fight with my friends, and my loved ones.
Oh, and real quick, tell me what it's like to see your picture. You're in Vegas now. When you walk the Strip and you see yourself up there, there's nothing like a big fight there. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's incredible, and it ceases to amaze me just the opportunity that arises for me, after my cancer scare. So I've been able to not only fulfill my dreams and become a world champion, but there's been so many different opportunities that just blown my mind, and opportunities I never thought I'd have. I've always just wanted to get back into the ring, and that was just my main goal. But now there's so much that is presenting themselves. I'm just, I'm really blown away by it all. But I'm keeping myself humbled. I'm keeping myself in the right mind frame to where I can just put it in a certain place in my mind and stay focused on the fight.
That's great. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next question is from Jose Caramillo of Esto newspaper. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Daniel, since both of you and Canelo are outstanding boxers, what is in your mind? Do you believe physical shape shall make a difference in this fight?
Yeah, I'm just extremely excited for this fight. Thank you.
Oh, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Michael Woods from Ring. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the time to do the call. It's interesting. I'm hearing more talk about this winner of this fight being pound for pound number one or two or three. I'm interested from your perspective, Danny. Who do you think you would be perhaps surpassing when you beat, if and when you beat Canelo? Is it Crawford or is it Lomachenko? Who's atop the pound for pound that number one that you would be supplanting?
Well, I've never been vocal about where I place myself in the pound for pound. I've just been grateful that I'll be able to be on the list. Because when you think about top pound for pound fighters today, I'm not sure if I make that list or I'm in the top 10. So I don't care who I surpass, or as long as I'm on the list, wherever the fans choose to place me, that's where I'm grateful for. But for everybody that's on the list, you know, I'm true fans of and I support. So to place myself over anybody, especially, you know, guys like, you know, the guys that you just mentioned, I mean, I won't say it's injustice, but that's really not my job. My job is to go in there and be the best fighter that I can be and let the fan and the boxing public choose where they place me.
Well said and classy as usual. I am interested in this one from the perspective of we, the fans, have been watching these pay-per-views and understand that this is a capitalistic enterprise for people, but this is being presented as a clear alternative to that. This question could go to Eddie. You watched the fight on Saturday. There was that interesting ending. Does that make it easier to compare and contrast this event, which is on the streaming platform, and there isn't the hefty premium fee attached to it? Does that make it easier for you to do a compare and contrast?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the last few pay-per-view events, particularly this year, you know, Pacquiao-Broner, Garcia against Spence, and Khan against Crawford, I don't think I've seen an away fighter win a round in any, you know, in hardly any pay-per-view event. I mean, Broner might have nicked a couple, but even on the undercard, I mean, the same on Saturday, and especially in Texas. And, you know, obviously the main market for us is the UK, and you're talking about our pay-per-views are $25. So your pay-per-views are anywhere between $70 and $100. It's a huge amount of money for one night of boxing, especially if it doesn't light up. Okay? So really, I look at this and I say that really for one pay-per-view, you can get a whole annual subscription for DAZN. And, you know, within that, you've got Danny Jacobs against Canelo Alvarez. A couple of weeks after that, you've got Usyk against Takam. Then you've got Anthony Joshua. Then you've got Gennady Golovkin. I mean, it's all in a month's subscription. So it's incredible, really. And, you know, I think it's so refreshing that someone's coming in to supplement the public money, which is funding fights like this. And, you know, we never want a show to do badly, but I just think that right now, US fight fans are getting an unfair ride. And on May the 4th, they get to see the fight of the year without the $80, $90 or $100. And I think it's great for boxing.
And last one, quick. Andre Rozier, in your mind, is this a 50-50 fight? If no, what are the odds? How do you see this one? And if I'm asking you to choose one area where Danny is better and what the difference maker is going to be, what is it, sir?
Well, as always, we come from a neighborhood that defines you in surviving, being strong, taking no shorts, and this is how Danny has basically been living his life. And when there's a conflict that he has to face, he rises to the occasion. And he's been places that none of us ever will, and I pray not have to visit, but he has been very successful in his battles. So when you fight the hardest fight that you ever can fight in your life, I'm sorry to say, but these events don't add up. Danny has been through the worst that anybody could be through, so this is actually just common fodder, and Danny's going to once again rise to the occasion. And as for your question as what are some of the better things he does, well, basically his heart and soul and his desire to win. He's a fantastic athlete and a great talent, but talent alone does never reach the goal. You have to have all the necessary traits to be special. We always talk about that talented guy that could fight but didn't have the heart to fight. Well, you have the whole package here. He can fight, and he will fight. And a dog fight is nothing that he's afraid of.
Excellent. Very good stuff. Thank you all for taking part. I appreciate it. Be well.
Thank you. Our next question is from Sean Kroos of Boxing Insider. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for going on the call. My first question is for the champ, Daniel Jacobs. I remember when you fought, right after you fought Golovkin, and I remember the post-fight press conference, you were pretty calm in saying you were just going to wait for another big opportunity to come around. And lo and behold, here one has, arguably the fight of the year. What made you so confident that the opportunity would arise again, that you didn't have to, be so frustrated after a controversial decision against Golovkin, that you knew things would take a turn?
Because I know that real recognized real. And I knew that because we didn't get the decision from maybe the politics of boxing, I knew that it would be by popular demand that I would be back at this stage. And long ahold, I got that great deal with HBO right after that Golovkin fight. Mm-hmm. We signed with Matchroom, and now we're here with DAZN. So many opportunities has arisen from just that one fight with Golovkin, where I proved to be amongst one of the best in the world. And I just knew that this opportunity would present itself because I gave my very best that night, and I just knew that it wasn't the end of me. Most times guys, when they reach that level and they lose, sometimes it may take a couple years for you to see them guys reach that level again. I owe it all to my team. Every one of Team Jacobs, especially my manager, Keith Connelly. I owe it to my team on the ground, Andre Rozier, all the guys who make sure that they support me and make sure I stay on the straight and narrow so that I can be at my best each and every time I go out to display my skills. So I just knew that it was a matter of time before we got to this level, but the fact that it happened so fast, just super grateful for it, but it's just one of those things to show you, not only with skill and preparation, but with a great team, you can achieve anything.
Great, thanks so much. My other question is for Eddie Hearn. Hi, Mr. Hearn. You hear a lot of talk this past weekend as far as having animosity between some of the fight game's bigger power players. Especially you heard Bob Arum talking about Al Heyman on this past weekend's pay-per-view. How easy is it for you to be working with Golden Boy? You guys seem to have a pretty smooth relationship.
Yeah, we always have done. I mean, even before we were both aligned to DAZN, we've always worked well on fights together. I think we've done a couple of Jorge Linares fights. More recently, I'm quite close to Robert Diaz, the matchmaker, who's an excellent boxing guy as well. I think that right now, obviously, I don't think that politics in boxing is anything new. I think it's quite straightforward. You've got to look after your fighters and your business. If you're with one particular platform, your job is to make the best fights and have the best fighters on that platform. So, some people, in the case that you're talking about, with Crawford and Spence, their advisors or their promoters would like to keep them on their platform. So it's hard to achieve. But obviously with Danny signing with us and DAZN and Canelo doing his deal with DAZN, it was a game changer. And really, when we signed Danny Jacobs, there was only one thing that I wanted to do, and that was getting the winner of Canelo and Triple G. And I feel that I would have failed if I didn't deliver that to Keith and Danny. And the stars aligned, and obviously when Canelo did his deal, it was a big help to us because the reason that Danny went to HBO was not just to put his trust in us, but to get the Triple G and Canelo winner. And obviously when Canelo went to DAZN, it was a natural move for Danny as well, provided we got that fight. We got the fight. John Skipper done a great job. Keith Connelly did a great job. And Oscar and Eric and Robert and it was just come together. It's a natural fight. I wasn't sure whether they'd want to take this fight. I actually think Canelo deserves respect as well because this is the toughest fight out there for him, in my opinion. this is the toughest fight out there for Canelo Alvarez right now in the division, and he's chosen to take it. And it was with help from DAZN. It was with pushing from Matchroom. But ultimately, a fighter's the one that makes the decision, and he is willing to take and accept this challenge. And I think that's great for boxing, and we all give him respect for that.
Great. Well, I really appreciate your time, and thank you both. All the best.
And just to add to that, it's been a pleasure working with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and his team, and on behalf of everybody at Golden Boy, it's a good working relationship, and it's a pleasure working with Eddie and everybody at Matchroom.
That's really good to hear. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Our next question is from Hector Cantu of Fox Deportes. Please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My question is for Daniel. Danny, I want to know if you have studied Mayweather-Canelo fight, and what did you learn about Canelo's skills and weaknesses?
I think ultimately what I take from that fight is how uneducated Canelo's feet work are. I mean, he's great as far as, like I said, offensive onslaughts and coming forward as far as punches and bunches and especially his body shots. But a moving target, he really has a hard time with. So looking to exploit some of those things come fight night as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Kendrick Johnson of SportsDaily.com. Please go ahead.
How you doing, Danny? This is Brother Kendrick, man. How you doing, brother?
All right, thank you. How you doing?
You just alluded to my question. Do you think there's a style out there that people are not realizing? Because if you look at the way he fought against Lara and fought against Floyd, it seems to be a problem that he has fighting people that move that are not stationary targets. Is that something that you think is going to be to your advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. And, Canelo, as of recent for this fight build-up, he was posting social media videos of him hitting the bag and, him doing all different type of boxing training, and people are like, wow, he's in stellar shape. He's going to be a monster come fight night. But I was simply looking at his knees and, how he's been having trouble with his knees and trouble with issues as far as guys being athletes, pure athletes inside the ring. So I'm looking to exploit some of those things. And I know that he's going to, bring the best that he can bring, but it's inevitable to overlook some of his flaws. And, for my team, we've created not only Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, but several few game plans to exploit Canelo's weaknesses.
Do you think the Triple G fight got you ready for this big stage? Not that you wasn't ready, but do you think that was kind of like an appetizer? Like you said, you're already out there and you already getting into that fight field and fight week's a week and a half out. Do you think that being here before kind of is what you needed to be here at this point in time in your career and your life?
I definitely think it definitely gave me a lot more experience, but I think it's more mental than anything. I think the physical skills has always been there. It's just about knowing that you belong, knowing that you are the best, and knowing that you can thrive in this type of realm where all is high stakes. It's the biggest platform that you can be in boxing. I mean, it can be really, really nerve-wracking for the faint of heart, but for someone who has experience in the past, maybe not of this magnitude because this is the pinnacle, but very similar with the past couple fights that I've had that have been huge fights. And fights where, I was predicted to lose or that, it couldn't go my way, and I prevailed. So that mental battle to me is already, it's past me, and I've gained experience from it. And for this fight, I'm just looking to go in there and put the physical together to accomplish my goal.
And for the general person that don't know who you are, like we know you're a great guy, champion of the sport, why would they know your name come May 5th?
They would have known my name because I think the general consensus is that Canelo is not only the face of boxing, but he's probably one of the pound-for-pound best in the sport. He's the most recognized fighter in all of our sports. So I think that a victory over him, a convincing victory as well, will definitely solidify my spot, and it'll be inevitable for people to know who Daniel Jacobs is.
Thanks and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question is from Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News. Please go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. Daniel, you have not fought in Las Vegas for quite a long time, almost 9 years, and it didn't go so well. Do you have any concerns or any thoughts about being back in Las Vegas, and would a win be especially sweet revenge for you?
There's definitely no concerns because you know anything about the last time I fought in Vegas and how old I was and the things that I was going through at that time, I'm a completely different fighter, and I'm also a completely different person with a mature mind, with a lot more skills, with a lot more mental strength. So there's not fear, and there's not a worry whatsoever when it comes to that. But it definitely will be sweet, but not to avenge a loss that I've had before, but just to capitalize and be victorious in a fight in where people predict it's either a 50-50 fight or it's against one of the best fighters in the world. So for that reason alone, I'm just excited for it, not to try to overshine or patches on anything that happened in the past, because the past make you who you are today.
A happier question. Is your son with you in Las Vegas? And if he
No,
is,
he's not
what
at
does
the
he
moment.
think about seeing his...
He's in school at the moment. He's taking some tests, and I'm very supportive of him, and I'm very proud of him because he already passed two or three of his tests already. He got one more test today that he's going to take, and I look forward to talking to him once school is over. And he is everything that I do all of this for, and he is going to be in Las Vegas fight week.
Good. It's always fun to see him ringside. What do you think he'll say when he sees Dad, 20 feet high on the side of a building?
I think it'll be a very proud moment, not only for my son, but for my family. I think that we all have gone through this journey together, and us seeing me reach the pinnacle will make everyone proud, will make everyone happy and excited. But I think ultimately everybody have one, motive, and that's to go in there, do work, and come out, and then we can celebrate after. But, this type of things kind of comes with the territory. My son has grown in the sport of boxing. He's grown supporting his dad. So he's going to be ecstatic, but, we're not going to be ultimately happy until we go in there and get the job done.
Well, thank you, Daniel. And as a father, you're certainly pound for pound number one. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next question is from John Gatling of Fights.com. Please go ahead.
Daniel, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Hey, Canelo is widely seen as a much better fighter than the one who was outboxed by Mayweather. Is that really true, or were guys like Arislani Lander, Miguel Cotto, Amir Khan, or even Golovkin just not busy enough, or maybe too mistake prone to take advantage of the opportunity that you see to take advantage of on May 4th?
Well, I understand he has definitely gotten a lot better. He was a lot younger back then. But I'm also a completely different fighter as well. And I think I plan on using not just the Mayweather blueprint, but I look forward to using the Daniel Jacobs blueprint to be victorious. So I'm not like any of the fighters that you just mentioned. In my mind, I believe that I can be victorious if I just become my best self that night.
Thank you. Our next question is from Ismail Abdusalam from Beat Boxing Naham. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Danny, you alluded to before that with the Golovkin decision, probably politics played a part in you not being able to get a close decision. We've seen in recent years that Canelo seems to get the benefit of a doubt on a lot of scorecards, particularly with one scorecard always kind of being wide for him. Do you have any concerns, even with your improvements, that if it comes down to a close decision, you'll be able to get one in Vegas?
Yeah, I've spoken about this numerous of times. I really don't want to focus too much. Now we're getting closer to the fight. I just want to become headstrong and know that if I go in there and do my job, that I'll be awarded the victory in a fair shot with no added influence outside the ring. So I really don't want to touch on it too much, but at the same time, I mean, we know that the past has spoke for itself, but for me, I have to block those things out and remain headstrong to where I go in there and do my job and get the victory. Because if I go in there and get a knockout, then all of that is out the window anyway. So I just have to focus on our game plans, focus on being my best version, being the best version of myself that night, and block out any negative entities that would play in my mind or that I would allow in my mind.
Thank you. And our final question is from Hans Themistope of Boxing Insiders. Please go ahead.
Hey, Danny, how you doing today, man?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask you is, I don't want to say the moment going to be too much for you, but, you know, going into the fight with Triple G, did you feel like the moment was too much for you in that fight? And if it was or if it wasn't, how did that fight kind of help you with, you know, kind of what you're expecting? Because the Canelo fight, at least in my opinion, is a bigger fight than the Triple G fight.
No, I don't think that the moment with Triple G fight was too much for me. I think mentally I grew within the fight as well and came out a completely different fighter mentally, but it definitely didn't get the best of me as far as the moment, and especially as far as the fighter and the fight itself. But I take the experience with me, and going into this fight, I just know that I'm 100% in the best possible mind and headspace that I can be in, knowing that I am the better fighter, knowing that if I go in there and do my job, I will be victorious. That's played in my mind right now. So it's really nothing that I can think about as Golovkin or my passion to the table. Because all those guys are that I've gained to place me at this point.
Thank you. I will now turn the call back over to Robert Gasparri for closing remarks.
Okay, thank you all. This will conclude the question and answer period. Danny, would you like to make any final comments to the media?
Well, to the media, I just want to say thank you guys for promoting this fight. Thank you guys for being a part of this. This is a dream come true. I look forward to taking advantage of this opportunity and prove that I am the best middleweight in the world. You guys are not going to want to miss the fight. Please, please, please be in attendance. If you can't, subscribe to The Zone, because this is a fight that we're going to be talking about for many, many, many years to come. I have a spectacular opponent, and Canelo Alvarez, and this is going to be Fight of the Year candidate, I'm sure. So please, 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 you guys, don't miss it. But thank you guys for all the support, for all of my team JACOBS, for all of my friends, family, and everybody who supported me throughout my career. This is the moment that I've always claimed to have, and now that this moment is here, we're going to take full advantage of it. I thank you guys. Love you. Peace, blessings. Hey, and also today, shout out to Brooklyn, because today is Daniel Jacobs Day in Brooklyn. Officially have my own day in Brooklyn. I'm super excited, and this victory is not only going to be for Team Jacobs, but we're going to bring the belts all back to Brooklyn, New York City. Thank you guys for the love.
Thank you, Danny. And just to add again, please, if you're in Vegas, there's still some tickets available. Come to the fight. It's going to be amazing. The energy in the arena, or watch it on DAZN. And thank you all. This will conclude the Danny Jacobs International Conference Call. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.